Yeah, Joanne, we're talking about 94 of the more than 95 schools here, 97 to be exact, operating schools. This is a live picture of West 2nd Street and West Grand Boulevard in downtown Detroit. Over the last 2 hours, before we get to my story, I'll tell you that over the last 2 hours, one, we've seen the number of educators here show up. We've seen a police presence larger than any other. And I'll tell you, Joanne, and covering this over the last several years, this is by far one of the largest presence of teachers out here making their voice heard, and the reality behind their frustration is simple.
I think a lot of people don't understand that teachers work all year long, and what they do is we don't get paid in the summer, but what we do is we prorate our checks so we can receive some of our money in the summer. So basically we work, we get half of our check, it's spread out, and we get the rest of our check in the summer. But if you're saying that you cannot guarantee that you're going to pay me my money that I've already earned, that's a problem.
The frustration is mounting. After all, these teachers have bills they have to pay, and when they heard they weren't going to get the money they've already earned, they took action, standing together.
And if I'm planning on having that money for the summer and now I'm being told that there's no guarantee that I'm going to have it, some people can lose their homes. You know, it's just not fair.
Today, they're asking the district leaders to come clean.
We're asking for an audit. We filed a lawsuit this morning because this is what we perceive as being a lockout. You can't pay us. You can't force us to come to work if you can't pay us. This is a lockout.
In March, Governor Snyder signed that supplemental funding bill up worth $48.7 million. It was supposed to float the district and cover teachers' salaries through school year's end. But it's not, and as lawmakers continue to work over that more than $715 million bailout package, teachers here and even some lawmakers say that still isn't enough, and if it goes to court, it could cost the district and taxpayers more than $1.5 billion.
And is that money enough money? Because if it's not, we need to ask for the appropriate amount of money so we can keep our school system viable. 5 years from now, we don't want to be back here.
Latrell Pierre is a teacher.
It takes a community to raise children and to make our country better. How are we going to do this if we keep demeaning teachers? I mean, we're the ones on the front line. We're working with families, we're working with the community, trying to get things better. But what are they doing? They're taking money from us that we've already earned. We want to see change. We want our children to get the best. And if you treat the teachers who are the frontline people like garbage, what do you expect? And we're working towards making things better because we're going back to work tomorrow. But if they don't pay us, and we've already worked for this money, who works for free?
Joanne, that's the big question. Who works for free? Latrell saying it there. Of course, live pictures, you can hear the horns honking. These are people in support of these educators. The crowd is slowly thinning out, but at this point we know that this is still a developing story. That lawsuit that you heard Ivy Bailey, the interim president of DFT, talk about, that is for unfair labor practices. Of course, more on that on later editions of Action News and as well WXYZ.com. We're live this noon in downtown Detroit. I'm Nima Shafee, 7 Action News. Joanne?